If there's one part of normal life that I'm really missing right now, it's getting a haircut. But if there's another, it's going to the cinema. I miss the smell, I miss the adverts for cars and sweets and car insurance. I know that probably reflects poorly on capitalism, but I just like those funny meerkats. I miss when people go into the wrong seat and then someone comes along and says, "Excuse me, you're in my seat." So these people go and move to someone else's seats and the cycle just continues and you're sat there eating popcorn as it plays out. That's the best part. But I also miss the trailers. I love trailers. There's nothing quite like the buzz you get when you're sat in the dark waiting for your film to start and a great trailer comes along. I just think they're really cool. And I'd like to dive into why.
Okay, you know what? I'm not coming out of this trailer until I get a new trailer.
A good trailer can be so many things. When it's for something you're already excited about, it can act as an appetizer, keeping you going just a bit longer as you wait for the real thing, elevating your excitement. When it's for something you don't know much about, it can act as an advertisement, an advertisement. It can act as an advert for the project, giving you a sense of the tone, the imagery, and the characters you can expect. There have been a number of times where I've had no idea a film is happening, but a trailer has come along and got me immediately on board. And there have been a few times where I've been pretty apathetic towards something, and then a trailer has come along and convince me I'm interested. At this point, I'm just describing the point of trailers to you. You know what they are. We all do. They're such a staple of the film industry and pop culture in general. But I think trailers have more going for them than just being forms of marketing. There's a unique experience you get from a trailer, one that's different to the film. I maintain the fact that the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer for Suicide Squad is a masterpiece, and the finished product obviously wasn't. But this difference isn't always in the quality. Take Logan, for example. That initial trailer is just incredible. It's definitely one that convinced me I'd love the full movie, and I did. But when it came out, it didn't replace the trailer for me. I still go back and rewatch it sometimes. It's a work of art within itself, which is true for a lot of great trailers. I also find the fact that Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt will forever be associated with that film despite not appearing in it to be a weird phenomenon. And there are countless examples of other times this has happened. Friction by Imagine Dragons was used to perfection in the trailer for the 6th Mission Impossible film, with the series theme woven in seamlessly with outstanding results. Fallout is pure cinematic joy, but this particular pleasure is one you'll only get from the trailer. There's no way that doesn't get you pumped up, but this goes beyond music. Remember that bit in the Force Awakens teaser where Kylo Ren ignites his lightsaber? You know the one.
The dark side.
That imagery is so ingrained in my head. It's such an iconic shot and one of the first moments I think of when someone talks about Kylo Ren. Here's how it goes in the film. So anyone watching this film from 2016 onwards won't be aware of that shot's existence. This isn't a major deal. I'm not saying new fans are fake because they haven't seen the TFA teaser, but I just think it's really interesting that their memories of the film, the character, and that moment will be different to the people who were there in 2014. This is even more the case for Rogue One. If you put a gun to my head and asked me to name a quote from that film, I'd be very confused and wonder why, but then I'd probably think of this one from Jyn Erso.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
That's her line. It's on all the merch. That's who Jyn Erso is for me. It was our introduction to the character, so it's who she is to a lot of people. But it won't be who she is to everyone. Anyone who watches the film now will never know that line. She never says it. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I think this is really cool and interesting. There's always a line or moment in a trailer that resonates with you, but doesn't make the cut. A lot of people loved when James McAvoy yelled, "I don't know what to do," trying his best to transform into Patrick Stewart. Me and my friend were really excited for that bit in Gemini Man where Will Smith said,
"Because what if somebody actually knew what we really are?"
We just loved that in an already ridiculous premise, it teased a bonus reveal. Imagine our disappointment when that never actually happened. But that's the way it is. It often comes about when a trailer is made before the editing process, using scenes and takes that end up not being right for the final project. It's not the same as when they film things specifically for the trailer, which is something I love, especially when it's a joke that wouldn't work in any other context. My favourite probably being this one from the second Austin Powers film.
If you see only one movie in 1999, see Star Wars. But if you see two movies, see Austin Powers.
A joke like that only works if we understand the usual tropes of the format, and luckily we do. Our overfamiliarity with the formula means that people can parody trailers in a way that everyone understands. Although I do think that trailer spoofs have been stuck in the "in a world" narration for a bit too long, since the only time you'll really hear that nowadays is in parodies, which slightly defeats the point of a reference. Because trailers are constantly changing, creating and using different cliches. I love watching trailers for classic films. They're like time capsules, little windows into the entertainment world of their era, like this Empire Strikes Back one narrated by Harrison Ford.
Luke Skywalker and Han Solo rescued the princess, destroyed the Death Star, but their story didn't end there.
We're so collectively aware of these trends, which give us loads of expectations to either be fulfilled or subverted. Who could forget the period after Inception where literally every trailer had to go What other ones are there? I like in a teaser for a reboot or a remake when they do like an edgy, atmospheric look at familiar props and locations, while the piano does a simplistic little rendition of the main song. These days there's also the bizarre feature of having a 5-second condensed reel of the trailer at the start, so that when it plays as a YouTube advert it gets to the point before people can skip. I just find them so funny, like it's a little trailer for a trailer. I wonder how long it will be before we start getting trailers for these trailers. I say trailer 76 times in this video. But the trailer experience can go beyond just the trailer itself. The moments surrounding it can be incredibly memorable and important. You're watching the Star Wars Celebration livestream and they show the first trailer for episode 9. It looks weird and cool and fun, then the Emperor laughs, you lose your mind, then Ian McDiarmid shows up on stage and goes, "Roll it again!" And you don't care about the contrivances or the potential for awful execution, you're just lost in the moment and unbelievably excited. Then the other trailers come out and the music is so great and you get so hyped and emotional and you go, "Oh my god, look, it's Dark Ray. Look at all those ships. Oh shit, is that the Ghost?" And then your friend goes, "Wow, that looks like the Ghost." And then John Boyega goes, "Oh my god, the Ghost." And Mr. Sunday Movies goes, "G'day guys, that's the Ghost." And it's just a really fun time to be a fan of something. As burnt as I was by the finished product, I still have fond memories of the time leading up to it. And the trailers were a huge part of that. I just love trailers. Now on to my next point. I hate trailers. There's nothing quite like the frustration you get when you're sat in the dark waiting for your film to start and another stupid trailer comes on. I just think they're the worst. And they're probably getting worse. And I'd like to dive into why. I've become so annoyed with them and the negative impact they have on the cinema and film viewing experience to the point where I just try to avoid them. And that's completely impossible because of all the things I said about the culture of hype and breakdowns and frame-by-frame analysis everywhere you look. And I end up becoming more frustrated. It's just self-perpetuating. And my frustration with the format has recently reached a sort of breaking point. Let me explain what I mean. You know all those great experiences I had with the build-up to the release of The Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, that probably didn't help with my experience of the film itself. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of problems with this film that had nothing to do with the trailers, but there was one specific thing that did, and it has to do with the ships. And I'm not talking about Reylo. No, seriously, I'm not. I like that part. I'm talking about the bit where the fleet of civilian ships show up. Now, do I think this is a great scene? No. It's messy and unearned, and seems to be leading into an everyone is here moment, but it just starts and ends with Wedge Antilles. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't have enjoyed it more without the trailers. You see, the moment plays out like this. The Resistance are losing, being completely destroyed. This is punctuated by the death of Snap Wexley, a pilot who doesn't seem great but is always brought along because he's such good friends with J.J. Abrams. Poe Dameron. So then, as all hope is lost and our hero wonders if there's any hope at all, Lando comes over the speaker and says, "Hey, it's me, Lando, here to save the day. On your left." And he shows up with the whole bunch of ships piloted by civilians. This is a fine idea, but it was in the trailer. It's the shot everyone was talking about and analysing. So I spent the entire space battle wondering when they were going to show up. When they tried to make me feel like all hope was lost, I just knew it was only a matter of time before the Ghost showed up. And they play it like it's this big surprise climactic moment of the war part of the film. And the war part is like half of the whole thing. But we knew. When they showed up, I just went, oh, there they are. There was no surprise, no relief, no anything. How is that acceptable? It'd be like putting the portal scene in the Avengers Endgame trailer, except it's worse than that because that film actually has additional stuff to offer. I enjoyed the Rise of Skywalker build-up so much. The trailer showed me so much cool and exciting stuff, but in doing that, they gave away literally every bit of cool and exciting stuff the film had. So in order to make the trailer better, they had to make the film viewing experience worse. And I think if a trailer is ruining the film, it's a bad trailer. So we've arrived at a paradox. The better a trailer is, the worse a trailer is. This isn't a Star Wars video, but it was the last big film to come out, and I feel it's a pretty good example, because it's an extreme, but it's not a rare occurrence. Every fan of every franchise has experienced something like this. The type of film I think struggles the most is the action genre. The appeal of those films is so often the visuals, the cool fights, the creative set pieces, the impressive stunts. So imagine you're a studio and you reach the marketing phase, and it's time to throw together the parts of the film that make it look the most interesting. What do you pick? Tom Cruise having a chat with Simon Pegg? Probably not. Tom Cruise on the side of a plane? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, now stop imagining that. Imagine you're not a studio, which should be easy. You watch the trailer and you go, wow, Rebecca Ferguson is rescuing Ethan. This looks awesome. Wowee, a car chase, a motorcycle chase. Oh my god, Ethan's on the side of a plane. And then you watch the film and you go, oh, Ethan's been captured, but I think this is the bit where that lady shows up and saves him. Oh yeah, there she is. Oh yeah, I've seen this bit. This is where the plane takes off and he's still on the side of it. Cool. Does that not seem less exciting than seeing it all play out in full for the first time? I think it does. The tension from those scenes is completely eradicated when you've already seen the highlight reel. I said it was the worst for action films, but it's impossible to overstate how serious a problem this is across the board. No genre is safe. More often than not, the trailer will give away so much that you end up going into the film with a pretty clear idea of the shape of the story and a pre-established familiarity with all the best bits. And these are things I'd rather experience the way the filmmaker wanted, rather than in a 2-minute montage of spoilers. About Time is one of my favourite films, and it has one of my least favourite trailers. I'm not even going to show it here because it just gives away too much. If you have seen it, think about anything major that happens in that plot. It's in the trailer. Yeah, even that bit. And while we're on adorable timey-wimey romantic comedies, the trailers for Palm Springs not only spoil one of the best jokes in the film, but they also explain the entire story and point of the script, before the actual movie even gets the chance. I strongly believe that my experience watching these two films were vastly improved by how little I knew going into them, and that ignorance took effort for the latter, especially because it came out in this country a full 9 months after its actual release. But forcing myself to avoid trailers at all costs was completely worth it. It happens a lot with comedies. They put all the best jokes in the trailer, so all the film does is contextualize them, which is really fun. But I think if I was making a list of all the things I didn't want to know before seeing a film, the punchlines to the jokes would be quite high up there. But that's just it. All these things are just things I wouldn't want to have known. Some people want to see a lot from a film before deciding whether or not to watch it. I get that. Sitting down to watch a feature film is a time commitment, and you want to know if you're going to like it. A lot of the time, the only thing I'll need to get excited about a project is the knowledge of who's involved, but apparently not everyone has a favourite director who they have a massive cardboard picture of on their wall. Which is weird because I was sure that was a universal experience. Some people need a really detailed trailer to sell them on something, and that's honestly completely fine. Everything about our relationship with media is based on our own personal preferences, and people's definition of a spoiler is one of the aspects that is completely subjective. To some people, anything beyond the title is too much information, and others are looking for a detailed rundown of every plot point. There's a reason leaks get so much traction. Why wait and see the reveal of the new Captain America costume when you can see it now? Well, because maybe if you wait, you'll have it revealed the way they wanted to reveal it, with the lighting and effects that were intended to accompany it. But in the moment, it's hard not to go for instant gratification. I probably fall closer to the I don't even want to know the title end of the spectrum, whereas other people I know end up around, I'm just off to go and see Frozen 2, but before I do, can you tell me if Elsa dies or not? Yeah, maybe that last bit was kind of based on a specific example. A lot of trailers are designed to win over the people who are closer to the Elsa death part of the scale, and if there's a chance that the people or company or robot in charge of marketing will file an important plot point under not too much of a spoiler, then it's probably safer for me to distance myself from trailers entirely, as I wish I had for Star Wars and I'm glad I did for Palm Springs. It's at the point now where if I'm at the cinema and the start of a trailer looks vaguely interesting, I'll just shut my eyes and switch off my brain to keep myself from knowing too much. much. It's not just weird and awkward and embarrassing, it's sad. Because, like I said, I love trailers. When they're done right, they can give you such an exciting and memorable and entertaining experience. But there's such a danger of them being done wrong that I'd rather just not take the chance anymore. Every now and then, I'll see loads of people talking about a trailer and I'll be really tempted to check it out myself. Sometimes I'll give in and watch it and then just sit there wishing I hadn't. Because I just know that certain details are going to stick with me right until I'm in the cinema watching it.
Thank you, Mr. Blow the Picture for me.
So what's the solution? Do trailers need to change? I've said how much of this is going to be down to your own opinions, but I'd certainly like them to. If I was in charge of the universe, I'd make some adjustments to the way films were marketed. Instead of trying to summarize and condense a complex plots in ways that mostly end up confusing and spoilerific, I think they should just showcase the vibes. Those Logan trailers don't do much beyond giving us a taste of the atmosphere and feel of the film, and that's all they needed to do. When you see that, you get what the film is. You don't learn much about the narrative or specific action set pieces, but you get it. I think Marvel trailers are usually great when it comes to that. Avengers Endgame did it especially well. They chose very vague imagery and dialogue, mostly from the first act, to give us a sense of the tone, completely hiding the main plot of the film. They did a fantastic job keeping the majority of the film's plot a secret. Even the 5-year time jump that happens pretty early on was completely hidden, and you can't exactly say the vagueness of that marketing caused the film to flop. So it would be great to have more of that, a bit of mystery. Marketing that doesn't mislead you about what experience you'll get from the film, but at the same time is a bit sneaky when it comes to showing you the overall shape of the film. Another film that did this well was Hail Caesar. The trailers give you a good indication of how the film will feel, but they also trick you into thinking the whole thing is about the kidnapping of George Clooney. Would that it were so simple.
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 My dear boy, why do you say that? Why do you say twere?
Well, you should say it like I said it.
A form of marketing I think can often work better than your standard trailer is when you have some creative people behind a film just sat in front of the camera explaining the overall point of the project. No specific scenes, no major details, just a little synopsis and a great insight into the type of vibes they're going for, given to you by someone close enough to the project to speak passionately about it. I'd love to see more of that in modern marketing. Hitchcock used to do it, and more recently Rian Johnson did it for Knives Out.
Oh, good evening. I'm film director Rian Johnson. I'd like to extend a personal invitation to you. An invitation to murder.
I'm not sure how broad the appeal is for that kind of content, but it's right up my alley. I just feel like the current way of doing things needs tweaking. Something I think works well is when they essentially let a scene play out in full, maybe a little bit shortened. It can probably give you a better impression of the film's tone than a heavily edited series of disconnected shots, and it gives away so little. This only works well when it's from the start of the film. One time they released a clip from Captain America Civil War that was from an hour and a half into a 2.5 hour film. That's the kind of thing that does give stuff away. Recently, the first 7 minutes of the new Mortal Kombat film was released in full online. I was shocked by this move and then realised it probably isn't a terrible thing to do. An uncertain audience member can watch that, then make their mind up about how they feel. Every beat is given to a viewer as it was originally intended. There are no preemptive spoilers. You're just watching the movie. I'm not sure I'd mind if this became the standard for a lot of films. Just give us a nice substantial snippet of the start of a film rather than 2 minutes from across the runtime. I think that could work. But my absolute favourite bit of marketing recently, or relatively recently, time has no meaning, was for the new Jurassic World film. You see, the last film ended with the dinosaurs being released into the world. The most interesting part of it was the final montage of the prehistoric beasties coming into contact with society. And presumably the third film will deal with the ramifications of this. But to give us a sense of how life has changed in this new, more Jurassic world, they released a short film on YouTube. It's called Battle at Big Rock. It's about 10 minutes long, features none of the known characters from the series, and has got me more excited for this new film than anything else could have done. It's a really tense and exciting insight into the world this sequel takes place in. It shows off the new status quo and makes me want so much more. I think a similar thing was done with one of the new Alien films. I don't know because I didn't watch it. And Marvel used to have those one-shots on the DVD extras that would follow a certain character in a short film that acted as either a sequel, a prequel, or a side story to a specific Marvel film. I'm wondering if it would be cool to release that kind of thing before a film instead of after. I understand that for budget and story reasons there are a lot of projects that this wouldn't work for, but I also think there are a great many films that would benefit from doing something like this. Instead of showing us every cool thing that happens in the runtime, they could just just give us a taste of the world. It would work especially well if it's a science fiction or fantasy film with a setting that's not just a realistic Earth, even if that's just like the world of John Wick where everyone is an assassin. It scratches the itch of a unique trailer experience to talk and get excited about, but with no trade-off when it comes to the cinema experience. I don't know, maybe this wouldn't be better at all. Maybe things don't need to change. It's just a suggestion. I'm just a guy on the internet. I didn't make this video because I thought I had all the answers. I made it because I wanted to start a discussion and put forward my feelings on the topic. Because I feel that trailers are simultaneously an art form that is underappreciated and a complete annoyance that people don't complain about enough. I just wish they were a little bit better, and I'd love to live in a world where that was the case. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the current state of trailers and what you'd like to see from them going forward. I've really enjoyed taking a look at them in this video, and if you enjoyed watching, remember to subscribe. Don't be afraid if you look at my backlog and see a whole load of Doctor Who stuff. I have a wide range of topics that I'm going to cover in the future because I love making this varied content. There will be a new video in 2 weeks. Check out the description for links to my Patreon and my Twitter. Love you lots.